Another fake agency uncovered. President Tinubu suspends three permanent secretaries, orders arrest of coordinators. In the course of the program, we take up questions. But first, uh, give your comments. It's important to mention that we can only read comments with human names and the ones based on the subject matter. I have joining me via Zoom, the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Good to see you. BKO, you're joining me all the way from Surrey Keys in the United Kingdom. Good to see you, BKO. I hope you're enjoying the weather.
Yeah, it's quite warm. So that's for a Zaria boy like me, it's the sort of weather that I'm comfortable in. So it's quite warm. It's sunny. Even outside my door, I could see the sun overhead, and it's really really warm today.
Amazing. Right. Let's get down to brass tack. We've the last has not been heard after the Osun election. Starting with the bigger picture, Governor Adeleke has just has just shown rather that an incumbent can leave one major opposition party, move to a smaller platform and still win re-election. I'm wondering the intrigues, the fallouts, the reactions, the banters, and also the attacks on your personal person, from those who you would describe as your detractors, or those who are, currently willing to get to the pedestal that you actually, in the enviable pedestal that you actually hold, currently. What's your reading of the fallouts of the Adeleke Governor Adeleke's victory? He has met with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, reaffirming his support for the 2027 election.
Yeah, Adeleke's goal is quite clear. He's always wanted to be as close as possible to the president. He's always wanted to be the president's man. He's always wanted to be someone that the president can trust, the president can um, feel comfortable to do stuff with. And he tried to get into the party. People like the Minister of Interior, Blue Economy, Boyega blocked him. Their reason for blocking was obvious. They knew that if he came into the party, he would take over the leadership, would take over the structures of the party. He would enthrone his own loyalists and put them in the commanding heights of the party in that state. They didn't want that to happen. And given some defections that had happened, they genuinely felt that they could win the election. But it turned out that they were mistaken. It was a difficult election for me to predict, and my attitude was clear from the beginning. I was not going to make that prediction because it was difficult to gauge. You see, sometimes some of the things you see on your own before an election, on election day, all of those issues, those matters can be thrown out of the window because everything is down to the effectiveness of a candidate's field game. Let's face it, Adeleke's field game on election day was fantastic. It wasn't like the other party didn't work hard enough. But Adeleke's field game was very, very effective. And that field game was something that he began a long time ago. For example, giving people money was something that they started way before the APC people, because they both were giving voters money. Of course, we all saw the video that went viral for the woman who was asked to swear with the Bible that I would vote for Adeleke. It was not, it was there in the public domain. So they began their own a long time ago. And some of these people already swore that they were going to vote for Adeleke. Now, they were faced with the temptation of taking money from the APC after they already swore with their children So some of them preferred to waste the votes rather than vote for the other people. So it's not a case of, oh, they took their money and didn't vote for them. They took money from who they preferred and voted for who they preferred. One of the things that I thought that religion would play a big part. At the time when we had that program, there were processions by the Muslim community. There were stories, interviews. We still have those things. It's just that one does not believe in flogging a dead horse. The reason I felt that religion would play a part was what I saw over a period of 1 week. Remember, even the procession of women in hijab who were singing that they were going to vote for Ebamiji. And then there was an accident that involved those women. All of this happened 1 whole week before the election. The matter of religion was gaining traction. That was why I talked about it, that it would be a factor. Well, I was speaking with one of Governor Adeleke's aides, and he said, yes, we had to fight it. That you are right, but we had to fight it aggressively. And they reached out to clerics to make sure that religion was not used against him. We have the stories of people shouting before the election that this time around it must be a Muslim, this and that. So I didn't just open my mouth and start talking. It was what I saw playing out. Now, the people whose duty, who have self-appointed themselves to be trying to undermine people that they know they are inferior to in intellect and experience and achievements in journalism, they will not know what led me to say religion will play a part. They are not reasonable people. I could have sent a rash of stories about religion from Osun State, where people are proclaiming that this is our time. I could have sent it to them to say, see, this is what I say. But I do not hold them an explanation. These are not reasonable people that we are dealing with. They don't even behave like human beings. Because a
Absolutely.
human being must be reasonable. So what is the point trying to even explain that to them? The people that we try to explain to are people that could be misled. Otherwise, I could just have ignored them. This is not today that they've been doing this. I've been doing this program for no less than 5 years. I've been doing journalist hangouts for roughly now 12 years.
That's right.
And by the grace of God, to remain at the top, despite the efforts of the detractors. It is because we stick to the facts. Now, to show you how irresponsible these people are, where I was talking about the factors that will help Governor Adeleke, including infrastructure, the building of dual carriageway, the building of overhead bridges, that's flyovers, the building of other infrastructure. They did not run that part. They cut that part away and played these other parts like that was the only thing I talked about. Some of them came out to say I said Oyebamiji will win. And I've challenged them that if they can produce anywhere, and it was the same thing I said to Oyebamiji, whom I felt was a reasonable person. I said, produce where I said Oyebamiji will win, and I will quit journalism. I've been in this situation before. Somebody lied against me that I said Nasu El-Rufai will not be re-elected. I said, if you produce where I said so, I will quit journalism with immediate effect. That person couldn't produce it. He now brought a video where I said the election will be more difficult this time. And that prediction came to pass because the votes that he recorded in the first election was way higher. The number of seats that his party won in the House of Assembly was way lower. So I was wrong that this one would be more difficult.
Absolutely.
So we are dealing with unreasonable people. But the question to even ask them, now the same Adeleke that they want to put their heads in a guillotine for, how did they feel when Adeleke went to present his certificate of return to the president, as if the president was the chairman of his party? How did they feel? You call people names, you abuse people because of politicians. Because you felt, oh, he had become the bride of the opposition. Adeleke is not the bride of the opposition. He's not interested in the opposition. He's focused on supporting the president. That's his goal. He couldn't come into the party, but the president knows that it was not his fault. The people didn't want him to come in. The president gave them the latitude to do whatever they wanted. But at the end of the day, we can see that the president was vindicated in warning them that he felt that it was right to let the guy come in, that he had defeated you before. Are you sure he will not defeat you again?
Defeat you again.
So that is it. And now the ripple effect of this is INEC having organized a monster of an election in Osun know now that they can't afford to take one single step backwards. They can't afford to do that. So whatever they did that made the Osun election such a success, they know now that they have to replicate it in the general election. Prompt appearance of INEC staff at polling centers with polling materials as early as 8 a.m. for the process to start. Consistent upload of results on the INEC's result viewing portal, IREV. Consistent posting. It gets everyone galvanized. It gets everyone involved in the election. Everyone is monitoring. On their own, they can see how their candidates are doing.
That's right.
It promotes transparency. And that's why you see that people are praising INEC, because INEC did a good job. And most of all, as we had demanded on this program and on Journalist Hangout, the opinion of the Nigerian people, the people of Osun State, was what carried the day. We said we do not want election rigging.
Yeah.
The president put his foot down. He didn't support any of those candidates. He didn't use federal might. Some misguided person said, oh, it was after their efforts to use federal might failed that the president now called to say, okay, congratulations. This same president, if he wanted to use federal might, he wouldn't have stopped EFCC. He would have had the account frozen. But he wanted, and Mr. President even told the people of Osun State, hours to the election, that they should feel free to come out and vote, because already security was guaranteed. Mr. President is not a fool. Adeleke is his person. He's already eyeing Adeleke's support. So he will not do anything that will make an Adeleke think that, oh, this person badly wants me to lose. Yet he wants my support. So by not getting in the way, Adeleke believes that the president has acquitted himself very well. And Adeleke is now guaranteeing the president 2 million votes in the 2027 election.
Yeah.
Promising him 2 million votes. Now, because the president already behaved like a father and a fair referee. That's the way the president has been behaved throughout that. He didn't try to show that he wanted his party to win. Yes, he will be very happy to see his party win. But to him, it's a win-win situation. Even if his party does not win, the person who is the governor of that state is somebody who has guaranteed him support. So if you are a leader, you find yourself in that situation, you are going to behave in an even-handed manner. It's the same way that the president behaved in
Osun.
what was it called? In Anambra,
Number.
because
Okay.
Soludo is his friend. He did not use federal might. As long as Soludo is governor there, the president believes that he has his friend in charge of Anambra State. So these big power people, they don't reason like little boys. They are already thinking of, okay, this person will still be useful to me. But if I behave badly, he's not going to trust me anymore, and I will have lost his support. His support, Adeleke's support was crucial to the president. And in his
Absolutely.
conduct, he guaranteed himself that support. This is what these little boy analysts do not know. This is what they don't see. They can't even think deep. They just crack the surface, make all the and think that they are doing analysis. It's much more than they think it is. It's
I
much
think it
more.
is. Okay. All right. Interesting. Um, Let me take some comment before I ask the next question. This is Akimbola Onile saying, "Good evening, BKO." And Ibrahim Shita, the intrigues and fallout of Governor Adeleke's victory is beyond cacophony politics, but the old-time relationship between his family and President Tinubu and APC. Okay, I'm not able to get the comments that well. Thomas Igbele says the attacks against Prince BKO is unprecedented. The basics of construction commentary and criticism is gone. I appreciate that Prince BKO is moving on without any shreds of fear or intimidation. Thanks. And Akimbola Onile is also saying that enjoy your holiday break and keep on the good work. Don't be distracted by those hypocrites attacking you. The sky is your limit. We have Zayed. Okay, Zayed Muhammad Imam says, I think one of the guests during the journalist hangout said the APC will win. Maybe that's why some people think you said the APC will win. Olowogorioye Oloweko says, Good evening, BKO, Uncle Babajide and Ibrahim. The president really showed that he's truly a Democrat. And Tunde Adebayo says, Adeleke's victory shows that Nigerians can vote for performance and personality, not just party. The APC should seriously study what happened in Osun. And Miriam Shegun Balogun says, APC should be worried if the opposition can unite strategically. 2027 could become very interesting. And lastly, Chidinma also said, I hope this victory will not just produce more political celebrations. Ocean people need jobs, better infrastructure, and improved living conditions. But before we change that, BKO, very quickly, um, but elections can sometimes, tell very different stories from one state to another. The APC still won 11 of Osun's 30 local government areas. So is it fair to interpret Adeleke's victory as a national rejection of the ruling party, or would you say Osun has changed the political conversation or merely interrupted it?
No, it has nothing to do with all of that. I mean, we should always brush emotions aside when we're analyzing politics. The previous off-season elections that we've had, APC dominated them. The FCT elections, APC dominated. And the ruling party used to find it difficult to win in the FCT. But Nyesom Wike played his politics very well. He gave those elective positions to the citizens, the sons of the soil, because he knew they would be able to guarantee their votes and they were able to win. So why didn't people say, oh, this could signal a shift when the APC was dominating those off-season elections from Kaduna to different parts of the country, everywhere they had those off-season elections, APC dominated. And these were national elections too. So why didn't the people reject them in all those places? Even the ADC was nowhere to be found. PDP still did better than the ADC or even NDC. So Osun election is out. Oh, it is the turn of the Muslims. Oh, it is the turn of the Muslims, and they were having processions here and there. They were doing interviews with the press. But on election day, I thought that it would be a noticeable factor, but it wasn't a factor. One whole week was enough for the other party to move around and make sure that it didn't become an issue. So we still have about how many months now to the election?
At least we have
So,
150 something days. Yeah.
so that's enough time for a lot of electoral dynamics to change. And that's why I always say that I prefer to predict just 2 or 3 days to an election because things can change. Even on the morning of an election, something can change. Oloye Olusola Saraki in Kwara in those days, in 2 days, just 2 days, things can change. He can say, go and vote for so person. After meeting with his own party men the day before, Friday, he can call a meeting and all his foot soldiers, they will go around, reach every segment that they needed to reach. And at the end of the day, you see there's a different party that will win the election. So uh, politics, things can change. It's still a long time. I don't think that what happened in Osun had to do with, okay, maybe the people have rejected the party and all that. No,
Absolutely.
don't think it has. There
Absolutely.
are some states today, and no state can be said to be, in terms of the national mood, no state can be said to stand aloof. But there are some states today, you do an election,
Mm.
APC will still win.
All right.
Or you cannot
Okay. Right.
use voter behavior in one election to
Yeah.
determine what will happen across the country.
Across the country. Okay. Because of our time, let's change tack. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has reversed his earlier position and now says he would restore petrol subsidy if elected president in 2027. He also said that the model would be targeted, capped, and budgeted, while President Tinubu has also attacked the proposal as economically misguided. And even Wike called it voodoo economics. Let's put the human side, first. Millions of Nigerians are still feeling the pressure of transport fares, food prices, and the cost of running businesses. So, with Atiku coming with these arguments, is there actually an economic argument for a targeted fuel subsidy, particularly if the government can cap the costs and make the spending transparent? Looking at what Atiku is saying that he would have done, even though he campaigned that he would remove subsidy alongside would be that he would remove subsidy, fuel subsidy in 2023. How are you reading Atiku's new economic proposal?
So the question to ask is, at what point this idea come to his head? At what point?
It is musings.
They said you told us you are going to remove subsidy within the first 100 days, and you waited 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. We are just about 5 months short of an election. You are now thinking, oh, we have to bring subsidy back. I've seen his explanation. I've seen his explanation. There's nothing wrong in trying to get Nigerians to buy fuel at way lower price than they are buying it now. It is something that I would love to see. But if I understand what Atiku is talking about, he is saying that they will not give marketers money, that they will give refiners, they will sell crude to refiners at subsidized rates, and then tell them you must sell to the Nigerian people at this price, at this price. It's easier said than done, Brian. It's easier said than done. A refiner takes 1 million barrels from you. How do you ensure that the 1 million barrels that he has taken from you is going to refine it and sell other petrol within our country? How do you guarantee that? Who gets to monitor that? Are you simply going to set up another agency of government that will now be regulating refiners and ensure that they do not sell off the quantum of crude oil that was sold to them? Remember, they produce Jet A1, kerosene, diesel, premium motor spirits. How do you? I can tell you that a lot of Nigerians do not really care about diesel or kerosene or aviation fuel. It is PMS that they are more interested in. And these guys have obligation to produce other products, other byproducts, petrol, outside petrol, diesel, and all that. How do you ensure that everything that they take from NNPC, which is the nation's oil company, at that subsidized price will go into the Nigerian market? How do you do that? Because we've been in this situation before. When petrol was being imported by marketers who got subsidy, who are benefiting from subsidy, we had petroleum equalization fund, we had MPA, they will be there, we have DPR. In spite of that, those bureaucrats were still being compromised. And at a point in this country, when NNPC was the sole, because when there was so much corruption through this, through the subsidy regime, with people taking money to go and bring petrol and then selling off what they got with Nigerian funds, selling it off on the ICs. Buhari now decided that, okay, from now on, only NNPC will be importing petrol. And NNPC called what it was doing under recovery to bring in products and then subsidize it. They called it under recovery. They didn't like the idea of calling it subsidy, but it was subsidy all the same. What did we see? They started telling us that our consumption level was between 101 million liters a day to 110 million liters a day. Today, as we speak, our consumption level is just between 48 million to 50 million. Whereas it used to be more than double that. Because once Nigerians saw that, oh, this is an opportunity to make good money, they started cheating the system. They started gaining the system. The what was being imported was being inflated, terribly inflated, so that they can make money. The removal of subsidy effectively put an end to these things. The consumption level naturally drops because they were lying about the consumption level from the beginning. So my worry is that Atiku will replace the old subsidy regime and its corruption with a fresh subsidy regime that will be potentially even more corruption ridden than what used to be there. Because whatever agency that is going to set up to do that will be conniving with the refiners. And the refiners will sell some of what they got to the international markets at the price, at the rock bottom price, and the rock bottom price structure that Nigeria has put in place. They will sell to the international market. You cannot stop them from doing that. There will be a lot of corruption about it. I appreciate the fact that yes, our people are going through a lot and that they need to do something about it, but we will need Atiku to sit down and break it down so that we will know exactly what he's talking about. He has already said that he will not give marketers money, that he will give crude at a subsidized price, and that they too must sell at a subsidized price. How do you regulate? How do you ensure that that is the case? I'm confident that if they do that, it will succeed in the first few months.
Yeah.
After a while, corruption will step in and Nigerians will begin to steal from that kind of a system that Atiku wants to put in place. And it also has the capacity to reduce our earnings because petrol is tied to the dollarized price regime. Given the level of consumption in our country, if we bypass the old pricing structure, it also has the potential to reduce our earnings. No doubt about that. That is the truth.
That's right.
So that is my own major issue. It is whether he has tried to explain that no, I'm not bringing back subsidy in the way people think, but it is subsidy all the same. There's no other
Subsidy,
way.
subsidy.
It is subsidy all the same. Whether you say they should take crude oil and sell at a subsidized price to refiners, and that the refiners should now also sell at a subsidized price to Nigerians. Subsidy is back. Once you do that, subsidy is back. There are no two ways about it. There's no way you can explain that away. It is bringing back subsidy. And it raises the question, why didn't you think of this in 2022 when you were insisting that subsidy had to go? We could have thought about this. Why did it take 3.5 years? We are approaching an election.
Yeah,
He knows
absolutely.
that he is targeting the ordinary people because this interview was conducted in Hausa anyway. So it was targeting the masses. And you can see that he has some level of confusion in the APC camp because this was not what they expected to hear. And they know that a lot of people could be sold on this idea, which could hurt the party's chances. So you can see the anger with which even Mr. President responded to responded to what he said. Because it's the sort of thing that people
People like
will be
to hear.
happy to hear. Yes. But it is what it is. And as we approach an election, this kind of propositions will come. But one thing is certain, I do not see any Nigerian president, even if Bola Tinubu does not get re-elected, I do not see a Nigerian president walking back on subsidy
Right.
removal. I do not see anyone walking back on subsidy removal because
Mm,
it has now enabled us to find more money for projects and for a number of things.
mm.
So if we say
Right.
no, we're going back, you will lose all that money. They share 3 trillion this week. The three tiers of government, they share 3 trillion. There was a time when they were sharing 300 billion.
Mm,
So
mm.
now, yes,
You have more
when
money.
we had our last recession, we were not earning so much, and NNPC was even not remitting because NNPC will say it has spent the money on what is it called, on subsidy.
Mm,
NNPC was not remitting.
mm,
So it's
mm,
painful to people when the larger amount they spend on transportation and all that. But subsidy removal has also come with some advantages. States have more funds to work with, and you can see a lot of infrastructure projects across the length and breadth of our country. But we need greater accountability. We need them to focus a lot more on those things that give joy to the ordinary people. That's
mm.
just the missing link in my view.
Amazing. Right. Let me take some comments before we move on. This is Moneyman saying we are not moving back to subsidy era. Thomas Igbili says no amount of economic semantics by article will persuade majority of Nigerian voters to accept that return to subsidy era is the best. We shall never fall for retrogressive form of economic tirades. Um, Kimbala O'Neil says former Vice President Atiku Abubakar's statement is political and deceitful. Changing back his earlier word on removal of subsidy is a campaign strategy to deceive Nigerians without giving information on how to implement it. Mohammed Sanusi says, Mr. BKO, I pray Almighty Allah will continue to expand your brain for the benefits of old and young ones. Um, Rafai Raji says the return of subsidy as raised by Atiku is a populist idea that he is using to bring back his political life. Unfortunately, the governors failed to use increased allocation to better people's welfare. Okay. Much more. We'll still have, let me take one or two more comments. Ngozi Eze says, we have tried subsidy for years and corruption became part of the story. Atiku needs to explain exactly how his version will be different. Femi Oladipo says, people don't eat economic theories. If petrol is cheaper and transport fares come down, ordinary Nigerians will feel the difference immediately. Aisha Suleiman says, the question is not whether subsidy sounds good. The question is who pays for it and how much will it cost the country? Okay, let's move on to the very last conversation, which is it's quite um this is the newest and potentially the most disturbing aspect of our conversation on issues with Jide tonight. The ICPC has uncovered what it describes as another fake government agency. That's the National Brands Development and Made in Nigeria Special Projects Office. They always very long name. Allegedly operating within the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. President Tinubu has now ordered the arrest of its alleged promoter, who is George Buchi Nwaboize, and suspended 3 permanent secretaries pending investigation. PKO, do you actually feel scandalized, with this story, especially coming against the heel of the phantom agency, which is the PFIC or PFIPC, whatever, what have you. That's Prince Adeyemi Matthew, his own. We've just not, recovered from that shock, but another one is coming. Do you actually feel scandalized, with this new revelations?
I'm very angry. The only joy that I have is that at least this one, they had not allocated money to it in the budget. Because Adeyemi in his own case got a lot of what he did not deserve. And the icing on the cake for Adeyemi was the fact that money was allocated to that agency, an agency that does not exist. Money was allocated to it in the budget. What I see now, look at this funny name. How can an agency of government that is a product of the law have a name that is this long? National Brands Development and Made in Nigeria Special Project Office. Come on. This is too long. So people naturally should even be worried that how can an agency be this long? But what is happening is a lot of these fraudulent people are exploiting some weaknesses in the system. We now have too many agencies standing alone. All you hear is Babajide Rufai agency of so under the presidency. Ibrahim Rufai under the presidency. Can you imagine? So that is what we hear all the time. There are too many agencies standing alone. Once you hear, oh, they are under the presidency, you see their number plates. They are actually operating under the office of the SGF. Even this one was also operating under the SGF's office, and it also had an office within the premises of the SGF's office. So I just don't understand. In the past, even the Ministry of Finance, CBN was under the Ministry of Finance. I'm not saying that should be the case now, but we have far too many agencies operating on their own. Nobody knows what they are doing. You just hear that they are under the presidency, and their number plates will suggest such. There is a need to do something about those agencies that are under the presidency. They need to find a way to streamline those agencies who operate within the office of the SGF. I believe that the president has to set up a committee. After this whole investigation, they need to even look at a lot of those agencies. There could be a pressing need to bring them under some ministries, maybe Ministry of Special Duties or whatever. A lot of agencies are just operating on their own. And who knows? Some of them could actually even be fake. You see their number plates all over the place, but they could actually be fake. This one claims that their work is to promote made in Nigeria products. And they have 3 zonal coordinators, 20 state coordinators. They also have an executive, they also have a national coordinator and executive of an agency. That's the Buchi Nwabweze. He is addressed as National Coordinator and Executive Director of the agency. So they have country representatives and coordinators in the US and Canada. They were actually planning a Made in Nigeria fair and expo in Abia State as well as Anambra State in September and December before the FCC exposed them. Remember, we are still dealing with two other agencies that Adeyemi set up, two other illegal agencies that Adeyemi set up. They are the FCT Investment Promotion Agency, as well as the Foreign Investment Promotion Agency and Public-Private Partnership. Can you beat that title again? Very long name for the fake agency. Foreign Investment Promotion Agency and Public-Private Partnership. FIPA PPP. That is the name. FIPA. So we see the avenues through which the resources of our country are being bled. There are just too many. And what can save us is vigilance, serious vigilance. I cannot bet that if even more work is done, that they will not discover another agency. Because we all thought that we had the last on Adeyemi's matter, not knowing that Adeyemi had an Oriental brother who was also, who described himself as executive director and national coordinator. So they exploit, because this one was said to have been used to replace an old agency. But it's not a creation of the law. It didn't come through a presidential edict. It didn't come through the parliamentary effort on the part of the lawmakers. It does not have the force of law because they just fake. So I hope that more heads will roll, because these things are not done by a few people. There's a need to get down and prosecute the people involved. The police already came out with about 5 individuals cutting across different agencies. That's NITDA, Ministry of Budget, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Accountant General's Office, the police came up with their reports about the same time that the ICPC came up with this report, but their own report was offered more depth in the sense that they produced the names of people who should be prosecuted. And they also demanded that the clerk of the National Assembly should also cooperate with them so that they can actually discover those who connived with Adeyemi to get the National Assembly to allocate money to him in the budget. So we already know those to go on trial.
Yeah.
That has to happen. If we don't allow that to happen, this sort of thing will not stop.
Absolutely.
Where there's no punishment for wrongdoing, people will continue to misbehave. But where you draw a line in the sand, people know that whatever they do, if they run foul of the laws of our land, they get punished. So there's a need for heads to roll on Adeyeme's matter and on
Mm,
this matter. That's the only way we can put an end to this kind of thing, because tomorrow again we'll hear that there's another agency.
mm.
It's really embarrassing. It's a national shame. It's a national shame, and that's why there must be punishment for
Absolutely.
this abhorrent behavior by these people with the connivance of bureaucrats at the federal level.
Absolutely. Well, let me take some comment before we call it a wrap. Um, Moneyman says SGF needs to sack all his staff members. Okay. Nanle Danjuma says your analysis is top notch. BKO, God bless you. You are the greatest analyst of Nigerian issues. I see why refer. Oh, come on, don't go there. Thomas Igbele says there may
It should
be
not make
more.
him look important on my program.
Shouldn't
It's,
go there.
uh, it's, it's,
He's
it's
only
an
talking about,
insignificant fellow.
yeah,
You should
he
not
only talks
mention
about
that
how
boy.
he's
Yes,
talking about
it's just as worthless as a sweet wrap on the floor. No need to bring him up. Yeah.
right. Right. Thomas Egbele says there may be more fake agencies at states and local government levels. I remember postulating that many mysterious of such agencies are all over the country. The old civil service system should be returned. Promise John says, BKO, God bless you for your good work. Emeka Nnamani says, how does a fake government agency operate within government structure or structures without anybody noticing? That question is bigger than the arrest itself. Fatima Abdullahi says, if the allegations are proven, everybody involved should face the law regardless of their position. Government offices should not become hiding places for fraud. And Samuel Ibekwe says, I like the fact that the government is acting, but Nigerians will be watching to see whether there will actually be prosecution or another case that eventually disappears. And last but not least, is Miriam Lawal says the bigger issue is institutional failure. Someone should have checked whether this agency legally existed before people started dealing with it. And I think I read a comment, or maybe it skipped me, or um, maybe I read it without remembering. Someone is saying that what if we look deeper? Okay, I think it's not even a comment. What if we look deeper into states and local governments? Could it be that we would find similar fake agencies,
Of
in
course.
state and local
Of
governments?
course. Of course.
Right.
Mhm.
It
Of
means we have to
course.
do a whole lot of investigations and pay attention to
Even
things that.
fake schools have since been discovered. Complete disretinue of staff, vice principal, academic, vice principal, admin, principal, fake schools
Hmm,
that do not exist, but they got money allocated to them in the budget.
hmm. Well, we're happy that these revelations are coming out. It means that the system has been rigged for a very long time. Before this administration, where we're now beginning to see everything being overly exposed. We call it a wrap, BKO. That's our show for today's edition of Issues with Jide. Special thanks to you, Baba Jide Kolade Otutoju, for those insightful analyses, as always, all the way from Surrey Keys, United Kingdom.
Thank you, Brian. My holiday is coming to an end gradually.
So
So
fast.
it's painful to come to that realization, but I'll be happy to come back to my country
Absolutely. As a
and
patriot that
continue
you are.
the work. Yes.
Hmm. Right. Thanks to you to our audience for keeping our company on every edition. You can see the program again anytime by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at TVC News NG. I'm also at Ibrahim_Shita. On behalf of the rest of the team, I'm Ibrahim Shita. See you again next edition. Bye for now.